Kevin, Chris, look at that headband though.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. That's a headband of a champion right there.
Right.
We'll be underway here in just a moment.
I don't know if this is necessarily true of Hafner. Have you ever had the experience of playing in a, let's call it PTQ level event against someone with sunglasses inside and you can see their hand out of the reflection of their glasses?
I've not had that happen. No.
I bring it up because I've had it happen. And I've played against opponents where they've sort of leaned forward with their hands in such a way that you can kind of see the top of their cards.
Okay.
And I usually say, hey, just so you know, you're leaning forward a little bit. I might be catching a glimpse of your cards. Keep it a little bit tighter.
Okay.
If I see the reflection of the sunglasses, nothing.
Nothing?
You're wearing sunglasses indoors.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
If you didn't lose because of this, you would have lost to something else.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Okay. A Faithless Looting is discarded a Vengevine and a land. Here's an Insolent Neonate for Hafner. I don't know how the mirror goes, but there's no ley line involved just yet, so we'll see what happens.
Being on the play is still a big advantage for Kevin.
It strikes me as important. There's a Satyr Wayfinder. Let's take a look at the top 4 cards now. Carrion Feeder, Satyr Wayfinder, Carrion Feeder, Satyr Wayfinder.
Okay.
All right. 2 pair. Back over to Hafner. Is there an explosive turn on the way? We could see a turn 2 Hogaak here, folks. It's not hard to do. And there's a Golgari Thug in the hand, too, that we can put into the graveyard and dredge some cards. All right. There's your Thug. Dredge 4. Gravecrawler, Bloodstained Mire, Bloodghast Gravecrawler. Not bad. Thug's in the grip. Well, where do we go from here? A Blood Crypt. Bloodghast is back. Carrion Feeder is here. Gravecrawler is here. Can't play Hogaak just yet. Short 1.
Yeah.
Short 1. Next turn could be quite a doozy, though, for Chris Hafner. We'll have to see as we head back over to Kevin now. Verdant Catacombs to start. There's Bloodghast. And now here comes Hogaak. There it is. There's the big 8/8. And 5 cards will be delved away. Vengevine's going to stay in the graveyard. Actually, Vengevine's going to come in now because Bloodghast was played, Hogaak was played, and now Vengevine gets to attack. So pardon me.
A lot of pressure now on Hafner to either have a overwhelming proactive turn of his own or set up a lot of defense for next turn.
Well, step 1 for Hafner is sacrificing a Bloodghast to Carrion Feeder. That's going to become a 2/2 Carrion Feeder now. I imagine it's going to get a little bit larger this turn, but we'll see how Chris wants to sequence. Bloodstained Mire means that Bloodghast is back. That was easy. Insolent Neonate. Sacrifice that. Let's dredge some Thugs. Insolent Neonate, Polluted Delta, Hogaak, Stitcher Supplier. No Vengevine there just yet for Chris Hafner. There's your Hogaak. Looking to trade with the other Hogaak, probably. Though it is worth noting there, partner, that Chris Hafner has an Assassin's Trophy in hand.
Yes. Perhaps a temporary reprieve here from the Hogaak. It's not a permanent solution, but Kevin sends enough stuff in the red zone such that it's hard to deploy. Again, you might get 2 turns off, and matchup that's played on this short of a timeline, 2 turns could easily be enough.
These flex slots, pardon me, they vary. For some players like Kevin, he's got main deck copies of Leyline of the Void. You see Lightning Axe oftentimes in most of these decks. Some players have something like a Lotleth Troll. For Chris Hafner, he's found room for 2 copies of Assassin's Trophy, and that deck building decision may come up big here. Let's take a look at this. This might be a flashback Faithless Looting, and it is. So 2 cards on the way. And now 2 cards to the grave. Hogaak among those cards. There's some beatdowns. Hogaak, Vengevine, and Bloodghast all coming into the red zone. Hogaak's going to block a Vengevine. Carrion Feeder is going to... Oh, that's nice. Yeah, sacrifice the Bloodghast, then you're going to get the Bloodghast back with the Bloodstained Mire trigger. Overgrown Tomb's going to enter the battlefield untapped.
Might see an Assassin's Trophy here in just a moment.
Yep.
With Hafner with the possibility of setting up lethal on the way back.
Yeah, one thing Hafner did really well in the match I watched him last round was just his manipulation of Gravecrawler and Bloodghast and knowing when to sacrifice the Carrion Feeder actually was rather impressive to me. He didn't really miss anything as far as making sure he got all of his points and all of his counters. Basic Swamp will be fine off of the Assassin's Trophy. 2 will be dealt by the Bloodghast. Vengevine's going to lose to Hogaak. And there's a Stitcher Supplier. So 3 cards are going to head into the graveyard. Leyline of the Void is one of them. Giving up a little bit of information there is Kevin, though it won't surprise you to see that after sideboard. The land for the turn is the Swamp. Keep in mind the Swamp that entered the battlefield earlier was from the Assassin's Trophy. Vengevine's going to come back. This is a pretty nice rebuild. Should be able to play Hogaak again pretty easily, I think.
Yeah, good setup here for being able to block on the way back.
And there is Hogaak. It's not hard to recast, that's for sure. We're going to head back over to Chris Hafner now. So Chris will draw. Picked up a copy of Blackcleave Cliffs. And here come the Knuckleheads. Look at that headband, though.
Yeah.
That's a mean-looking headband. He's also got the Seth Rollins hair going on, half blonde, half black. Big fan of that hairstyle. Here are your blocks. Hogaak in front of Gravecrawler. Excuse me, Hogaak in front of Carrion Feeder. Vengevine in front of Gravecrawler. Stitcher Supplier was jumping in front of Bloodghast. So 8 damage is going to get through. But Kevin's battlefield is going to be very much intact. So what comes next here for Chris? His follow-up is Seder Wayfinder. Take a look at the top couple of cards. Vengevine among them. All right.
Is Hafner going to be able to put enough together to block on the way back here?
Bloodghast is going to come back. Thug. Get back Vengevine. And now tap 2 creatures, deciding which ones to tap. It's going to be Bloodghast and Seder Wayfinder for Hogaak. Now, of course, Hogaak is legendary, so he's going to lose one, but this one's on blocking duty.
Yep.
So he can do this little thing where he's trading them in and out if his graveyard is large enough to be able to block opposing Hogaak. So we continue on. Kevin with no cards in hand, so he'll just draw a card for the turn. And of course, no one got a good look at it except for the player on the left. Does it not make you wonder how well-versed these players are in combat like this in the mirror?
Yeah, it's a tricky spot where you have so little that's good at blocking. Kind of creates this impetus to want to attack, but the blocks that you do have access to are pretty powerful here because you get to do a lot of either swallowing up of things or trading off even with Hogaak and redeploying, depending. So players are in this weird spot where they are often incented to attack because they can't block that well, but only up to a point.
A lot to think about here if you're Kevin with 9-0 on the line, putting you in great position for a top 8 tomorrow. Beatdowns. All right, Blackleaf Cliffs. Get back a Bloodghast. Replay a Hogak. So I guess the trick is maybe to exhaust each other's graveyards. Whoever's got the biggest one left can keep recasting Hogak the most and do things that way.
Yeah, which is part of the reason that Hafner in the previous combat was loath to allow Kevin to trade his Stitcher Supplier for anything, because that's essentially another cast of Hogak.
Yeah, you're basically there, right?
Yeah.
All right, Hafner wants to get his Hogak back on the battlefield. Maybe not just yet. He's going to sacrifice a Polluted Delta first, maybe. But there is some incentive to actually hold lands in a spot like this because of Faithless Looting.
Yep.
So you do have to weigh a couple different factors. He also has a Blackleaf Cliffs in hand, too. That one's going to end the battlefield tapped, so he's going to play that one, actually. And simply pass the turn back. Back to Kevin. Hogaks will almost certainly run into each other. Maybe Vengevines will too. So here's your attacks, and if it's Bloodghast that's coming in, that gives you an idea of what the draw step was, I think.
Yes. But I think Hafner's blocks here are pretty straight up, given how he's played the last couple of turns with Hogak in front of Hogak, and then the other two blockers in front of the Bloodghasts.
Vengevine gets the freebie on the Bloodghast.
Right.
2 running into a 4/3.
Your Thug also represents, another recast.
Ooh. Taking 8, huh?
Does Hafner think he has it on the way back? It's 4 blockers.
I mean, he must. It's a risky play. He'll draw a Vengevine. How good of a draw is that? Well, only one source of green mana right now. And I don't think he has any sources of green mana that are fetchable without taking 2. So he can't just hardcast that. That's the biggest problem. And certainly a Polluted Delta isn't searching for a basic forest. So he's just going to pass the turn back. Again, with the Bloodghast attacking last turn, you have to imagine that Kevin Strawstep last turn was a land.
Yeah, and I think Hafner was trying to give himself at least the opportunity to maybe kill on the way back.
So that means maybe he played the wrong land last turn, potentially, by not playing the Delta?
I think he was just trying to be mana efficient. I don't know if the potential need for double green was really on the radar. Yeah,
we're looking at lethal, especially because Bloodghast can't block. So Kevin Hoang is going to win game number 1 here over Chris Hafner. The Hogak Mirror goes to the player on the left with the main deck ley lines, and he didn't even draw one.
Yeah, being on the play is still a huge advantage there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I suspect Hafner there on the previous turn is supposed to just trade off and go for it again, because his ability to block a wide attack is so tenuous due to so many of the creatures not being able to block. And he was able to block some of the attack, but being at 3, not enough of it, and died.
So, let's take a look at the sideboards here. We're going to start with Chris Hafner. He'll be on the play here for game number 2. 4 Leyline of the Void, of course. 3 Thoughtseizes, 2 Rotting Rigasoul. That's that big, big dinosaur, the 7/6. 2 Force of Vigor, 2 Fatal Push, and 2 Assassin's Trophy. Now, ley lines, of course. But how do you combat other ley lines? And do you just try to say, you know what, if you have a ley line, it's fine. I'm going to go to the big dinosaur, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a fine way to do it. And I think you can bring in the Assassin's Trophies pretty easily. Answer the ley line, and they add some play to them. If ley line's not involved. But, yeah, I think the 7/6 is a concession to not being able to access your graveyard post-board. And Hafner might not be able to access it, so there you go.
What I find really interesting about this is, how much do you dilute your deck to be able to get these cards into your deck? What does your deck look like after sideboard to still be functional and casting Hogax, assuming you even have the opportunity to?
Yeah, I don't know how you make that much room because the removal spells. I think Lightning Axe is an underperformer in the matchup. That one you can pretty easily get away from. I don't think you need as much of the graveyard-centric engine. Again, you assume some of it's not going to be available to you, so I don't know how much of that you want to get away from, but certainly you have some flexibility if you expect not to have your graveyard.
Other side of things very quickly, 3 Plague Engineer, 3 Nature's Claim, 2 Thoughtseize, 2 Assassin's Trophy, 2 Ancient Grudge, the 4th Leyline on the sideboard with the 3 main, a Force of Vigor, and an Abrupt Decay.
Like the extra Leyline, of course, the Nature's Claims, and the Plague Engineer's Assassin's Trophy. The removal that's good against Leyline, and I think Plague Engineer is powerful against so many one-toughness zombies.
Well, those are the options there for both players. We're going to be underway here in game number 2 in just a moment, but I do want to talk about very quickly the StarCityGames.com weekly sale, of course, where you can save 33% off select mythic rares through Monday. That's Karn Liberated. That's a Johnny Strength of the Pride. That's Nicol Bolas, Dragon God. That's the Mimeoplasm, and a whole bunch more. Go to StarCityGames.com/sale for more information.
Be sure to check back once a week because new cards go on sale every single week, Monday, 11 a.m. East Coast time.
These players are making their way into day number 2. Chris Hafner looks a little bit disappointed with how he played that particular game, but it's okay, Chris. You're locked up day number 2 of competition, and there's still plenty more Magic to be played, not only in this round, but tomorrow, my friend. These players are playing for a pretty healthy amount here this weekend in Columbus. First place is going to get you $5,000, 30 SCG points, and an invite to our Season 2 Invitational. Heck, everyone that makes top 8 is going to get an invite to our Season 2 Invitational. Day 2 participation, well, I get you at least 3 SCG points as you make that climb trying to qualify for the Players' Championship via the Season 2 leaderboard. And, of course, you see the breakdown there, the top 8, the top 4, the top 16, 64, 32, all that jazz as we work our way to a Day 2 cut. Players with the same record as whatever is in 64th place will make day number 2, and it's looking to be 7-2.
Yeah, with close to 800 players in the room, it's going to be a tough cut. We had a chance to look in at our players to watch it, kind of where the standings are now, and X and 2 went down to 90-something place at least. I think we're going to be looking at an X2 cut for tomorrow.
It's looking that way. So, these players are going to take a look at their opening hands. Both players have 4 ley lines after sideboard. Kevin had 3 in his main deck, didn't draw one, did just fine without it. How much have they diluted their deck to be able to fit in ley lines and answers to ley lines? We're going to find out soon enough. Chris is going to give this a long look. And it looks like he's going to keep, so Kevin's going to take a look at his now. And will he want to keep? He'll keep as well. Well, let's who's got the beginning of game action? Well, that answers that. It's Kevin who will start things off with a Leyline of the Void. A Gravecrawler is where Chris Hafner is going to start things. Bloodstained Mire is where Kevin will kick things off, ignoring that Leyline, of course, which seems pretty difficult to do. An Overgrown Tomb will bring Kevin down to 17.
Looks like Hafner does have an Assassin's Trophy. Do not know if he has lane number 2.
That's the big question. This is a Carrion Feeder, and we're going to head back over. Well, that answers that. He's got the Force of Vigor. Free spell. Kill that. Use the Assassin's Trophy to get it done.
Yeah.
And now here's a Faithless Looting. So he had the answer to the ley line. And a free way to do it. Leyline of the Void will be discarded. There's an attack for 2. Of course, Gravecaller can't block, neither can Carrion Feeder. Blood Crypt's going to end the battlefield untapped. It seems as though Hafner's operating just fine. No green mana sources right now, however, which is worth noting, as there's a Carrion Feeder and a passing of the turn.
Unfortunately for him, no engine to really speak of, and nothing powerful going on in the graveyard, down to 1 card in hand.
It'll be a swamp here for Kevin. His leyline has been dealt with, so we'll see what kind of hand he kept if he's able to play some regular Magic here as well. It'll be Satyr Wayfinder. Top 4 cards, Nurturing Peatland, looks like a Blood Crypt, Leyline of the Void, and I believe a Faithless Looting. The Peatland will go to the grip. That's, of course, the Horizon land. That means big creatures coming.
Very cool.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Lands for Hafner. Gonna have to do a lot better than that, Chris, if you want to compete with Big Hogak. Still without green mana. He'll flashback Faithless Looting. He'll draw 2 cards. He needs some help in a big way. Bloodghast, I think, is the easy discard. Then the decision is between the Bloodstained Mire and the Satyr Wayfinder.
I mean, I think you have to keep the Mire because you don't have any green mana.
Yep, I think I agree with you. He will keep the Mire. The Mire will also allow him to get back the Bloodghast. He'll just simply pass the turn back. None of his creatures can block, and none of them are making good attacks, so Chris is in a pretty tough spot here as we head back over to Kevin Hoang. Bloodghast will join the fray. Here comes the Carrion Feeder and the Hogak. Sacrifice that there. That'll be an attack for 10. Hafner's down to 10. Blackcleave Fliss will bring the Bloodghast back and pass the turn back. Over to Chris.
I'm a little surprised to see no attack with the Satyr Wayfinder.
Me too.
You know, I'm not sure how much it's going to matter at the end of the day, but
a bit of a conservative approach as Vengevine is headed to the graveyard there for Hafner. Maybe he can get a little something going with Stitcher Supplier. And then Bloodghast will come on back. Well, he found a copy of Hogak. That's good news. And Vengevine will come back too. So just like that, he's kind of back in this thing. Or at least trying to be. He needs Kevin to not have much going on in his hand. Last turn kind of indicated that there wasn't a ton going on. There's a Faithless Looting. Stitcher Supplier among the cards that have been drawn here for Kevin. I don't discard 2 cards. Hogak among them.
yeah, Hogak is a pretty good. A second copy of Hogak here from Kevin is a pretty good way to lock up the current battlefield and also make it impossible for Hafner to effectively block next turn. Because the Hogaks can trade off with one another, obviously, but trying to block that much trample damage from the second one's really complicated without your own second copy.
Mm-hmm. Hogak and Vengevine. Sacrifice there. Get that back there. It's an interesting line of plays here. I think what we just saw there is recast Hogak from the graveyard and then keep your active copy.
Right.
Because you get to choose a legendary permanent. And you get to choose the one you want to keep. So you keep the one that actually doesn't have summoning sickness and the one that can continue giving beatdowns. And that's what we're going to see happen. So Hogak goes there. This goes there. That goes there. So it looks like 3 damage comes through.
And Hafner's going to lose a lot of his creatures for the effort here.
Mm-hmm. Now, Hafner should... The thing that he can do here is he can say, I'll sacrifice some stuff to Carrion Fear. Yeah, he saw that right away. I think that's really important that he saw that, because I don't know if there's some way to kill on the counterattack or not.
Well, he's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage right now. Every land drop converts to points, although I guess not pre-combat because the Bloodghast would be ineligible to attack if you sacrifice that and try to landfall it back. But every mana converts Gravecrawler into an extra point of damage too.
I mean, at the very least, Vengemine's coming back.
Right.
Because you can sacrifice Gravecrawler twice. So we're looking at 3.
I think this is just lethal coming back, right?
I think he might be able to kill him. Which means that Kevin got way too aggressive.
I mean, he doesn't need that much help, right? I mean, he has 7 points from here, and every mana converts.
He's got a Gravecrawler in the graveyard,
yeah. This is trivial.
So sack again. Sack again. I think Kevin just got way too aggressive that turn.
Yeah.
So that's 7, 11, 12, 13. 14, that's 15? Gravecrawler can't block me. I might be missing something. I'm not missing anything. Chris Hafner may have just stole a game, and I think Kevin is a little bit frustrated with the way he just played his last turn.
Yeah, I mean, Hafner started off that game under ley line, no real action going on, a couple mopey beaters, and was able to convert that into a very impressive win there. I thought he was out of it on the second or third turn of that game. Just didn't have any action, facing down a Hogak on the other side, but was able to break out of the ley line and then just navigated combat extremely well.
Looks like it may have been a bit of a steal. Chris Hafner, Kevin Hoang going to go to game number 3 here in just a moment as the Hogak Mirror is all tied up, everybody. Our last match of the day will be bringing you as players are wrapping up day number 1 of competition. As usual, Star City Games and the SCG Tour running a very smooth tournament. Shout out to our organized play team that you can't see at home, but they are the best in the biz, making this thing happen. We're going to be done with day 1 probably by 8 o'clock. Some pretty impressive stuff.
Especially given that we had one of our off-camera feature matches go to time, which is a pretty significant delay on the whole tournament.
Absolutely. So they killed it as usual. Well, one of these players is going to be 9-0. We're going to find out soon who it is. Hogak's going to be on the top of the standings here, that's for sure. We'll put on a dominant display at the Mythic Championship 4 in Barcelona this weekend. One of those in the top 8, only one, but could still win the tournament. We're going to find out who's going to be on the top of the standings here right after these words from our friends at Ultimate Garden. All right, we back. Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, round number 9, game number 3, last game of the day. We'll be back early tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. East Coast time. Set your clocks, set your watches. What else do people set? Your phones?
Yeah.
There you go. Set those. Come hang out. Got to crown a champion here. Tomorrow, I got to do 6 rounds of Swiss first. You could decide the quarterfinals, all that jazz. You know that. And watch some more Hogak mirrors.
Yeah.
And you know that. Chris is mulliganing. I think he's mulliging down to 6. All right. Any ley lines, fellas? Ding. Of course, that 2020 ley line. Carrion feeder, pass it. Chris, we're heading your way. Faithless looting. Discarding a Vengevine and a Blood Crypt. Perhaps we'll see a turn 2 Vengevine here momentarily.
My favorite thing about the ley lines is that they're really rarely that good, but you just have to try.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone knows they're coming and everything.
But you gotta try.
Stitch a Supplier. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, man.
I bet this turn's going to suck.
Gag attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've been
gagged.
You've been gagged.
Yo, dog. You got gagged.
He's got an abrupt decay for the ley line.
That's cute.
It's just not even in the ballpark of being close to good enough.
Yo, what up? It's your turn. You're right. My ley line is dead. Yo, I know what I'm playing next weekend in my MCQs. I ain't even talking. It's done.
Yeah, just not even
done.
Not even touching the ley line.
No. You kill a ley line, you take 1,000 next turn.
Yeah.
I got one on Saturday in Victoria, BC. I got one on Sunday in Portland. I'm hoping not to make the drive to Portland. That's my plan. Take it easy. Blood Crypt untapped. Play again. Uh-oh.
It's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's a little something. That's a little something.
Yo, Plague Engineer got Death Touch too.
Yeah.
Let's get that baby on screen. Haven't seen that one today.
Good in the mirror. Good against some tribal strategies.
Definitely good in the mirror. Playing Engineer naming zombies, of course. Oh no, Kevin gonna come all the way back after that awesome turn 2 from Chris? I would be impressed. Vengevine gonna come on in. Blue to Delta, pass the turn. Chris has nothing left.
Yeah, but Kevin's still, trying to play through the ley line. So it's tough out there on both sides.
Look at this carrier of disease. Plague Engineer, 2/2 Death Touch. Stitcher Supplier. Gonna lose a couple of goodies there. Chosen Creature Type, Zombie, of course, taking care of the Stitcher Supplier that Chris had, as well as his Gravecrawler. Speaking of Gravecrawler, Kevin's got one. Kevin's giving beatdowns for 3.
The issue here, of course, is that should things proceed like this, Hafner has the option of just hanging back on defense and using Vengevine plus ley line to make Kevin's attacks pretty poor.
It's true. Oh, wow, look at that. That is nice. Faithless Looting is never a bad draw. And 1. And 2. Neonate and Satyr Wayfinder. There goes Neonate. And there goes Overgrown Tomb. Next up is Satyr Wayfinder. Blood Gassed among the cloud.
It's a lot of stuff.
Bloodgaster back.
And Hafner right now is, enough control over the battlefield here that he can hang back on defense for 1 turn and then overwhelm the following turn. Because it's not like Kevin's in a position to block very effectively, and he doesn't have access to his graveyard.
So now, you get back Hogak, Vengevine comes back. I would say, pretty good turn.
Looks good.
Looks good. Plague Engineer, still naming zombie. Still. That all happened because Faithless Looting was the draw. Nice. That's it, folks. Chris Hafner, he's pumped up. He's pumped up. The headband's on top. Get a photo. The headband is on top. He wins this match over Kevin Hoang 2-1. The player on your right, Hogacking his way to a 9-0 here in Columbus.